have already laid the foundation of how to qualify NATE, right? So being the third speaker, I have the feeling of being the last wife of Henry VIII, because I know what is expected from me. I hope I am audible.
Yes, you are audible, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. I know what is expected from me, but anyhow, I don't know how to do it differently. We all prepared together and we all qualified GSET and NATE together. So it was a preparation in a group. So before I start a discussion on how to qualify NATE or what are the strategies that we used or and I personally used, I would like to take you to the journey of my life. You can see in the title, from impossible to I am possible, a journey of an SSC dropout to UGC NATE. Dear friends, let me tell you, I do not come from a background, I do not come from the very good background. I come from the rural area, right? And my primary schooling was done in a school where we used to be asked to take guide, didn't used to have guides in the exams. The teachers used to ask us, go back home and bring your guides so that you can write the answers. So in such an environment, I completed my primary education. And when I went to the high school, I failed in 7th. So I was the only lucky student in the class who got 2 years to complete his standard 7th.
Sir,
right?
Sir,
So from the beginning, I was not at all interested in studies.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you.
So after SSC and the result.
Sir, sorry to interrupt
yes.
you. We are not able to see your PPT.
Huh?
We are not able to see your PPT.
Yes, say.
Okay, carry on.
Oh. Now can you see?
No, sir. No, sir.
So after the result of my SSC was declared, I felt not like studying further. So I dropped out. I left my studies. I went to Ahmedabad. I worked in a fabrication factory for a year, right? Then I realized that instead of laboring or instead of doing labor work, how it would be if I sit under the fan and read the books. So again, the desire for study got ignited within me. And I decided to choose the science stream. So I purchased books in advance. And then when it was the time for the term to open, the term to begin, I looked at the syllabus of the books, chemistry, physics, and maths. So all the books sounded to me like maths, and I am very poor at maths. So I decided to pursue my 11th and 12th in commerce. Then I consulted my younger brother who was in 11th. So he said that commerce is also like maths.
Jignesh.
So I
Jignesh.
did my
excuse me, Jignesh. Hello, excuse me. Jignesh. Your PPT is still not visible,
yes.
Jignesh. Your PPT is still not visible. Here we are not able to see your presentation, Jignesh.
Yes, but I am not talking from PPT.
Okay, no problem. But just say,
just it would be better if you interrupt me when it would be better. It would be better if you interrupt me while I am talking from the slides and you cannot see the slides.
Okay, no problem. Carry on, sir. No problem.
Is it okay?
Okay, no problem.
Ah. So when I started my studies again, when I was in 11th, I was very poor at English. The marks that I got in my SSC in English are 33 marks. So I passed my SSC with a star in English. Right. But fortunately, I got a good and who ignited the spark of learning English within me. Then I started my graduation. Then I went to there were I consulted several people, and some of the people said that after doing your masters in ELT means you take a break of 2 years from literature, right? So it would be very difficult to qualify NET or GSET because you have the background of an ELT, right? But fortunately, I got there very good teachers who constantly guided me, who constantly motivated me, and who ignited the sparks of learning literature within me. So I tried many times. As soon as I completed my masters, I started appearing in NET and GSET, but I could not qualify. Sometimes I could not qualify for 10 marks. Sometimes the gap was very different in the beginning, the gap of 30 marks, 40 marks. Then gradually the gap started decreasing, right? But when I took admission in MPhil, and during that time, during the day of the entrance test of MPhil, I met two people. One is Chetan Prajapati and the another is Vishal Patel, whom I have never met earlier, right? And we became a very good friend during MPhil. And after becoming good friend, we decided to decided to appear and qualify NET and GSET. So we made a very good group, and then we started preparing for NET and GSET. So this idea was given by Vishal when I and Chetan were assessing papers in the university in the Department of Physics, probably when then he came here and gave this idea. And at the same time, we made the group and decided to prepare in a systematic way, right? So whatever I have today, I have probably because of these two fellows, two bosom friends, Chetan and Vishal. I am really grateful to both of them. So Chetan and Vishal have already talked about the journey, right? We started preparing with the target of GSET, and within 2 months there came NET and Vishal qualified. But as Vishal and Chetan said, he could not celebrate because we were preparing together, right? And he only qualified at I and Chetan failed. So he could not celebrate it, and he didn't want to celebrate. And he said that our target is GSET, and once we qualify GSET, we will celebrate together. So he supported us. We lost the confidence, but it was Vishal who came to rescue and constantly motivated both of us. Vishal helped us in the paper first, right? He is very good at mathematics and all reasoning. So he helped us prepare well. After he qualified NET, he used to set papers for us. Every weekend, we used to have paper set by Vishal on a particular age, and we used to read together. Chetan and Vishal stay in Patan, I stay in Diodar. So I used to read at my place, they used to read at their place, and at the weekend we used to meet. And we used to discuss for the whole night. Sometimes it is 4 o'clock in the morning, sometimes it is 3 o'clock in the morning, Saturday night, Sunday night, right? So we used to have a very good discussion over the topics we have read in a week. So discussion makes a big difference when you are preparing for GSET and NET. So I strongly recommend that if you are preparing for GSET and NET, the first thing that you should do is you should make a very good group. You should have a very good friends. You should have a very good company. The people who are preparing, the people who constantly motivate you, right? Vishal and Chetan constantly, every single day, they used to motivate me, right? Because I am the person who easily get demotivated. So I am thankful to them. And finally, we qualified GSET, and then after that, I again appeared in NET, and I could not make it out for 2 marks. And again, I appeared, then I qualified. So it is all about making efforts. As long as you try, there is a possibility that sometime you will crack it, sometime you will pass it, sometime you will qualify, right? But once you lose the hope and stop preparing, it is very certain that you will never qualify. So earlier what we used to do is we used to go to the exam hall. We used to appear in the exams without thoroughly reading the syllabus of the NET. But when we appeared for GSET, we have thoroughly read British literature, we have thoroughly read American literature, we have thoroughly read literary theories, we have thoroughly read literary moments, literary groups, and all. What are the first lines, famous first lines, what are the famous ending lines of particular works, etc., etc. So this was all we used to do while we were preparing. Now I would take you to the slide. Now tell me if the slide is visible to you or not. Can you see the slides?
No, sir.
No. What will I have to do, Yogesh? I will have to present, right?
Yes, present now.
Present entire screen.
Yes, entire screen.
Okay.
Then you should open the PPT, and it will be visible to us.
Okay, now.
Okay.
Okay. Let's have a very quick look at the syllabus of UGC NET. I took it from the website of UGC. In the first 4 units, you have drama, poetry, fiction, short story, and non-fictional prose,
Sir,
right?
Sir, we are not able to
And,
see your PPT.
Again?
Yes, sir. You have visited. You have shared your screen, but we are not able to see your PPT.
No, it is visible. Yogesh, it is visible.
योगेश भाई आप है ना अपना पिन अप करो पिन हाँ वो
Yeah, we can see your PPT. It is visible.
I'm not able to see, sir. Okay. Now I can see it. Okay, continue, sir.
Okay. So in the first 4 units, as I said, you have drama, poetry, fiction, short story, and non-fictional prose. And you can see the written words here. These first 4 units must also be tested through comprehensive passages to assess the critical reading, critical thinking, and writing skills. This very word also gives the indication that the direct questions from these 4 parts can be asked, as well as the questions of comprehension from these 4 units can be asked, right? Drama, poetry, you can have a particular extract from drama, you can have certain lines of poetry in the paper, and you are asked to comprehend it. You can be asked several questions. 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 questions from a poetry, from an extract of a drama or fiction. So this is what the first 4 units are. The rest 6 units includes language, basic concepts, theories and pedagogy. The unit number 5, 6 is English in India, history, evolution and futures. I will recommend the books for these topics. In English in India, for this topic, you can read a book by N. Krishnaswamy, a former professor at Hyderabad, IFLU, right? Cultural studies is new for us. We haven't read anything about cultural studies. Literary criticism, I will later on explain in the upcoming slides. Literary theories and post-World War II, right? Research methods and materials in English. For research methods, you can read a basic book by Kothari, right? Research methodology. The title of the book is Research Methodology. What did I do? You can see the image of the books that I consulted, that I referred while I was preparing for UGC NET and GSET. You can see the first 2 books are by David Dachis, A Critical History of English Literature, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Then you have the objective type questions on literature in English by Bhim Singh Dahia. You can listen to his lectures on YouTube as well. The entire history is covered by his lectures. They are available on YouTube, right? Then you have M.H. Abraham, a glossary of literary terms. Then you have 20th century literary criticism by Bijay Kumar Das, right? It's a wonderful book. If you are not good at literary theories, the book tells you in a very easy way. The book narrates the theory to you in a very simplified way. Even if you are new to literary theories, if you read this book 1 to 2 times, you will be easily able to understand the basic concepts in literary theories, right? And one more book on literary theory is specifically contemporary literary theory by again N. Krishnaswamy, right? And it's a student edition, so it is written in very simplified and very lucid language. And for literary criticism, we have M.S. Nagarjan. It is also a student edition, so it is again written in very easy language. But before we read these all books, the basic book that we should all read are the 3 books. One is, you can see, an introduction to the study of English literature by William Henry Hudson, that is W.H. Hudson, right? The second is also by him, an outline history of English literature, W.H. Hudson. And the third is English literature by William J. Long, right? And for Indian writing in English, you can read K.R. Srinivas Iyengar. The book you may find on Amazon and Flipkart. These are the titles. You can take screenshots if you want to have these books in future for your preparation. These are the basic books. These first 3 are the basic books that we must have read during our graduation and our post-graduation. But it is okay if you have not read. You can still read it and have the base, a very good base of English literature, right? The first book tells in a very brief about English literature. The second book is in which you will find the history of English literature up to Victorian age only. This Critical History of English Literature, Volume 1 and 2 by David Dachis will help you in understanding the criticism that particular critics have done on particular works of particular authors, right? So it is also these 2 are also very good books. Again, you have an introduction to the study of literature in which you have various forms, right? What is poetry, what is novel, what is drama, and what are the people who have said about poems, who have said about drama, who have said about fiction. And you have the examples as well, the types of fiction, the types of poetry and all, right? The types of drama. In the book, An Introduction to the Study of Literature. Indian writing in English, you can read for it. Literary theory, I talked about it, so not talking again about it. You can take the screenshot of this book as well, Contemporary Literary Theory and Krishnaswamy, 20th Century Literary Criticism, Vijay Kumar Das. Some of the students I have seen, even I faced the problem when I was preparing that a glossary of literary terms by M.H. Abrams is a very difficult book to understand. He has written in a difficult language. Many students face this problem. Even I faced this problem in the beginning while I was preparing. So if you want to read about the literary terms in a very lucid and in a very easy language and in a very brief, you can consult this book by Chris Baldick, The Concise Oxford Dictionary of Literary Terms. It's a very good dictionary, right? In a small paragraph, it tells you everything that you need to know for UGC NET and GSET. You need not read long for any literary terms. Whatever you need to know, it will be there in this concise Oxford Dictionary of Literary Terms. What else can we do, or what else we did, right? I, Chetan and Vishal. We solved old papers of UGC NET and SET exams. I downloaded all the papers from the website of UGC NET, then printed it out. I also solved the papers of GSET, MSET, Telangana SET. Various states are conducting the SET exams, and you can find the question papers of these exams from the websites, right? And you can solve them so that you can have the basic idea what type of questions are asked in SET exams, what kind of questions are asked in NET exams. So when you solve the old question papers, you develop an eye, right? An eye which looks for a particular information when you are reading a descriptive book, right? Only reading by MCQs, you will never qualify GSET and NET. You have to read descriptive books, right? But while you are reading descriptive books, what you need to focus on would be or can be got from solving the old papers. When you solve the papers, you get an idea how the questions are formed, how the questions are asked, right? So solving old papers is a very much important for qualifying NET and GSET. Again, we read online from several sources. I have mentioned some of them here. Mostly we read from Wikipedia. Many people say that Wikipedia is not an authentic source, but let me tell you, friends, I will give you the examples in further slides, that most of the questions that are asked, you can get the answer of them from the first 4 or 5 lines of Wikipedia, right? If you search Northanger Abbey, the first 4 or 5 lines you read, and you will find that the answer of any question asked in UGC NET can be searched from these first 5 lines, right? I will give you the examples. Another encyclopedia is Britannica. There are 2 to 3 more websites, eNotes, SparkNotes, and GradeShaver, right? So this is what we used to read. We used to make notes as well. Only reading doesn't help. Making notes is important, and after making notes, having discussion is also important. If you cannot recall what you read, you can simply have your notes with you when you are discussing in a group, and you can read it out while others would listen to you, and then you will have the discussion over that topic. This is what we used to do when we used to meet every weekend, probably at Chetan's house or Vishal's house, right? So having discussion makes your concepts very clear. When you discuss, you realize that how much have you read and how much can you recall, how much can you remember, or how much have you forgotten. So discussion is very important. The case with us, the case that was with us was we used to read the same. Vishal used to read online only, right? Chetan, I used to read from different sources. So when we used to have discussions, we used to read the same topics and then have the discussion over that topic. So when we used to meet, when we used to start discussion, Vishal was the person who remembered everything. So passing NET or qualifying NET or GSET is also at some point depends on how powerful your memory is, right? But if your memory is not so powerful, what you can do is repetition. This is all what Vishal taught us, right? So what Vishal used to remember in one reading, we used to read it for, we had to read it for 3 to 4 times. Then we used to remember, right? So when you discuss, you realize that whether you have understood, whether you can remember it or not. So discussion helps a lot. Otherwise, earlier what we used to do, we used to start our reading when the notifications are declared of NET and GSET. We used to reach to Shakespeare or Romantic Age or Victorian Age, and then the exam comes. So no literary theories, no criticism, no literary terms, no literary moments, no literary groups, nothing. And we used to read only. We never discussed earlier. So whatever we used to read, we used to forget simply. But when we started discussing, it helped us a lot remember the things. Now you can see the solved paper, right? 2012 paper June, right? Paper 2. How you should solve the old papers. There are some students, I have found there are some students who solve the paper by only looking at the answer. For example, there is the question number 1, to refer to the unresolvable difficulties a text may open up. Derrida makes use of the term. So most of the students, what do? They simply find the answer, that the answer is A. That's it. Then they move towards the second question. This is not how you should solve the question papers. You should solve the questions paper in a way that you can see, I did look at certain things. What are the things that I have written? I have written the meaning. I understood the meaning of aporia. What is aporia, right? The meaning is given here, but if you cannot decipher it, if you cannot comprehend it, you can search simply aporia on Google. You will have definition of aporia. Where does the term come from? Okay, what are the other terms that are related with this book, aporia? So there are the words difference, defer, and differ, right? Defer means to delay, to postpone. You should understand it. Then again, on the right side, I have written this term comes from a book by Derrida. The name of the book is Of Grammatology, right? What is an aporia? The meaning of aporia is a state of undecidability, right? And again you have on the upside, it was translated by Gayatri Chakrabarti Spivak, right? Okay, then you have again on the right side, what is associated, one more thing with Gayatri Chakrabarti Spivak, the subaltern cannot speak, right? So this is how you solve the question. You can see the second question, the fourth question on the right side. Which of the following employs a narrative structure in which the main action is relayed at second hand through an enclosing frame story, right? So you have the answer here. Answer is D, Heart of Darkness. But what you need to know more about Heart of Darkness, that it is written by Joseph Conrad, right? Who is the narrator? Narrator is the Charles Marlowe, right? And the second narrator is an unnamed narrator. Okay, so again you need to know is who wrote Sons and Lovers, who wrote Ulysses, who wrote The Power and Glory. I have written there, Graham Greene, right? So whatever if you know that Sons and Lover is written by T.H. Lawrence, then you need not write there, right? If you know who wrote Ulysses, then it's okay. But if you don't know any of the work given in option, you can simply search for it, and you can simply gather an information about 1 to 2 lines. That would help, right? You have the fifth question. The Irish dramatic moment was heralded by such figures as, now answer is W.B. Yeats, Lady, Gregory and Edward Martin. But this Irish dramatic moment is associated with, you need to know, you should search. When you search Irish dramatic moment, you know that it is associated with Abbey Theatre, which was built or which was established in 1904, right? So this is all you need to know, or this is the way you should solve the papers. You should not simply look for the answer and you move to the next question. This is not how the paper is solved, right? Again, I have taken a photo of one more question. Let me read it out to you. The following passages are very first lines of well-known works. Match the lines with the works. Now we are supposed to match the lines with the works. Now if you face this type of questions in your exam, even if you know not all the first lines of particular works, right? If you simply know one answer, or if you simply know 2 answers, you can easily get your answers, right? But you have to apply the logic. For example, Call Me Ismail, right, is the first line of Moby Dick. Who wrote it? I have written there. It is written by Herman Melville, right? So the first option, Moby Dick, the answer of the first option is second, Call Me Ismail, right? Then if we look at this, when shall we three meet again, right? So it comes from Macbeth. When the play opens, Macbeth, a play by William Shakespeare. When the play opens, there are 3 witches, and the play begins with these very words, when shall we 3 meet again. So if you know it, Macbeth, option B, the answer is third option. So in option B, there are 4 options at the bottom. In 3B, there is B, third answer in the option B. So you have only the first option in which we have B in the third option. It is not there in any of the options. So if you simply know only one option, sometimes you can make it out, right? Sometimes you can get the answers. Again, here you have question, which of the following statements is not correct? So simply students would read the not correct statements. But when you are solving the paper and when you come across this type of questions, you should remember what are the correct statements, so that in future if you are asked such type of question, you can simply answer it. Okay, so I have highlighted here the correct statements. By reading not correct statements, it will not help. But if you read the correct statements, you will know that what are the things associated with this author, right? Again, you have the same type of question: which of the following is not a dystopia? Which novel is not a dystopian novel, right? So it means there are 3 novels which are dystopian novels. So I have mentioned here, there's the Animal Farm, Brave New World, and 1984. These 3 novels are dystopian novels. Who wrote them? If you know it, you need not write it down there. If you don't know, then you should write. For example, Brave New World, I didn't know when I was solving the question, so I wrote it down there. It is written by Aldous Huxley, right, and published in 1932. Nowadays, the publication dates are not asked. But I looked at the last paper. Earlier, when before 5 to 6 years or 7 years, when I was solving the papers, I saw that there are many questions on chronological order. There are many questions on publication dates, right? But for the last 2 years, they don't ask the publication dates. But in the last exam, they asked many questions on chronological order, right? Matching A with B, right? So the 4th novel is not a dystopian novel. Then who wrote it? The Way of All Flesh, Samuel Butler, right? Again, I have written something more about it. It is a semi-autobiographical novel. Okay, so this is how when you solve the question papers in this way, it helps. Again, you have the question, Dryden's essay of dramatic poesy. Who opens the discussion on behalf of the ancient? You can directly get the answer, right, from the answer key, that the discussion is opened by Critias, and he represents ancient, right? But you need to know the rest 3 options as well. Who stands for whom, right? Who stands for French? Who stands for modern drama? Whom does which character represents Dryden? That is, you also need to know. If you search it, the essay of an essay of dramatic poesy, you will simply see in the first 5 lines of your wiki article, right? And what is the meaning of new, neander? What is the meaning of the word neander? You also need to know. So it is new man, right? Again, I have written here, Dryden calls Shakespeare the greatest of all, ancient or modern. So whatever the things which are associated with Dryden, as many things as I can put it here, I should put it here. And the same thing you should do as well, right? So these are the questions. I am not again discussing it. You can simply take the screenshot, right? For example, let me take one. To his coy mistress. So is by, it is simply a question, who wrote it? Then the answer is Andrew Marvell. But the additional information that I added there is, it was published in a particular year, 1681, and it was published posthumously, right? So in this way, you should solve the questions. You can see how I used to solve my old question papers, how I used to paint rather the pages with red pen or with pencil. Okay. So on the left side, you have the entire page. On the right side, you have one question, right? Match the following list there are novelists, and there is settings of the novel. So when you read an article on Wikipedia or any website, you also should know about the settings of the novel, where it is set. Okay, here is a PPT. Here is a slide in which you can see the major theories you need to read, right? What are the theories? You must have questions. What are the major theories that we should know before entering the examination hall, right? New criticism. Who are the people who are associated with new criticism, right? Who was the first who propounded the theory of new criticism, right? Then structuralism, how many peoples are associated with structuralism? What are the terms, literary terms, which are associated the theory of structuralism? You have sign, you have signifier, you have signified, right? You have binary oppositions. There are many words. So this is all you should know when you read theory. The basic thing you should know about theories. Then you have deconstruction, that is also called post-structuralism. There is Derrida and Paul D. Mann, and there are many more, right? Then you have reader response theory, Roland Barthes, Stanley Fish and all. Roland Barthes wrote the Death of an Author, right? Which propounded the theory of this reader response theory. He also wrote Work and Text, right? He differentiated between work and text. That is what you should know. Then you have Russian formalism, you have myth criticism, feminist literary criticism. When you look at it, there is a spelling error in the word criticism. You should try to know all the phases of feminist criticism, right? What are the writers associated with feminism? What are the novels which are feministic novels? Who are the critics who have said something and something on these novels or these works of feminism? Then you have Marxism, you have psychoanalytic criticism, semiotic and post-semiotic, new historicism, colonialism and post-colonialism. You have subaltern studies, Gayatri Chakrabarty Spivak, right? We have gender studies, then gay, lesbian criticism, queer theory, modernism and postmodernism, magic realism, narrative theory. These are the major theories that we should know if we are preparing for UGC NET. Okay, I have listed out some of the literary groups that the students of UGC NET should know, because if you solve any question paper, you will find 2 to 3 questions or 4 to 5 questions on literary groups. The people who are associated with literary groups, right? The movement poets, Scottish Chaucerians, university wits. In the last question paper, the first question was about university wits, right? Who of the following were university wits? So, Sons of Ben, war poets, metaphysical poets, cavalier poets, Kit Kat Club, Scribblers Club, graveyard poets, lake poets, Agitprop, Satanic School of Poetry, Cockney School of Poetry, right? Dark Romantics, Rhymers Club, Auden's Group, Georgian poets, Lost Generation, Bloomsbury Group, Black Mountain Poets, Southern Agrarians, Theatre of Absurd, Theatre of Oppressed, Angry Young Men. These are the major groups that we should look at and we should know about. Then we have several literary moments, right? Black art moments, transcendentalism, Irish dramatic moment, which is associated with the theatre, the Abbey Theatre, right? Transcendentalism is associated with Ralph Waldo Emerson and all. Again, existentialism, you have You should know who are the people or who laid the foundation of existentialism and who popularized it, which are the authors associated with it, right? Which are the terms which are associated with existentialism. Then we have Harlem Renaissance. In every question paper, we have 1 to 2 questions on Harlem Renaissance, right? We have theater of cruelty, epic theater, kitchen sink drama, right? Beat generation, confessional poetry. These are the literary moments. Okay, now let's look at the major critics and criticism. Right? There are very few critics you need to read. There are many theorists as well, but when it comes to critic, there are very few. Okay. When we talk about Greek critics, there are 3 major critics. There could be one or two more, but they are minor. These major are Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. When it comes to Roman critics, there are 2, Longinus and Horace, right? And then we come to the Shakespearean age, Sir Philip Sidney, who was the contemporary of William Shakespeare. So the English criticism begins with this man, Sir Philip Sidney, who was a soldier, who was a Renaissance man, right? So he wrote a particular book which began English literary criticism. The book is An Apology for Poetry, right? So what you need to know about Apology for Poetry is why it is written, it is response to what, right? There is one of the contemporary of Sidney, the name of him is Stephen Gozon, who wrote School of Abuse, in which he laid down 4 charges against poetry, right? And it was Sir Philip Sidney who made the first effort, who first defended poetry, because poetry has been attacked, the art has been attacked right from Plato, right? And in English literature, it was Sir Philip Sidney who defended poetry in his Defense of Poesy, and another title is An Apology for Poetry. Then we have John Dryden, an essay on dramatic poesy. That is the book which is a critical book by him. Then we have Alexander Pope. We have 2 books by Alexander Pope, an essay on criticism, and there is one more I have forgotten. Right. So we should read about these 2 books as well. Then we have Dr. Samuel Johnson, who wrote the lives of poets. How many poets he included, right? What did he say about his contemporaries and the authors, right? Other authors of the previous ages. What did he say about Chaucer? What did he say about Dryden? These are the things. What did he say about Shakespeare? Right. This is what we will get from Dr. Samuel Johnson. Then we have Wordsworth, who propounded the theory of Romanticism with the book Lyrical Ballads, with the preface rather. It was published in 1800, right? So preface to the 2nd edition of Lyrical Ballad. You need to know about what he said, right? And what kind of poet he is, right? He's subjective poet. There is liberalism in his poems, in his theories, right? Heavily influenced by French Revolution. This is what you need to know, right? Again, you have the definition, certain things that Wordsworth said. Poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. It takes its origin in emotions recollected in tranquility. He said poetry should be written in a language that a common man can understand, right? So poet is a man speaking to man, is a line by Wordsworth. So again, you have S.T. Coleridge, right? Literaria Biographia, the book is in which he laid down his philosophy, his theory of criticism. He differentiated between fancy and imagination, right? So we need to know about that as well. Then we have John Keats and George Eliot. We have Nietzsche, we have Hopkins, Henry James, right? Stream of Consciousness, Henry James. We have Matthew Arnold and T.S. Eliot. These are the major critics that we should read, right? And whose criticism we should know if we are planning or if we are preparing for UGC NET. Okay. Now, let me briefly talk about online sources, right? This is the first 2 to 3 lines from Wikipedia. You can see Northanger Abbey is a coming of age novel. So the first question that you get here is, it is a coming of age novel, right? Second question is, and a satire of Gothic novel. If you are asked which of the following novel is a satire on Gothic novels, then it is Northanger Abbey, right? Who wrote it? Jane Austen. Third question, right? Then you have detail regarding the publication, right? It was completed for publication in 1803, right? Completed for publication, mark the word, but it was not published, making it the first of Austen's novels in order of completion. So it was the first novel that she completed. The question can also be asked like this: which of the following novel was completed first by Jane Austen, right? Then you have, but it was only published posthumously in 1817, right, with another novel of her, Persuasion. So these 2 novels were published together posthumously. Okay, so again you have question, which of the following novel was published posthumously, right? Then in a very one sentence you have the thing that you need to know, right? The story revolves around Catherine Morland, the young and naive heroine, and her journey to better understanding of herself and the world around her. If you read these first 4 lines of Wikipedia about this novel, you can simply have the answer in your exam. And for that, I have cited here the questions as well as some of the Wikipedia articles and eNotes article for you to better understand, right? For example, there is a question, probably in July, yes, it was the question in the paper July 2018, NET, right? In Memorial Verses, Matthew Arnold pays tribute to 3 great poets. Who are they? Now, if you read something about Memorial Verses on eNotes or on Wikipedia, you have the answer. Let's read it. Memorial Verses is an elegy of praise and lament to Wordsworth. So you have again one more question. It was written to lament the death of William Wordsworth. It is an elegy written on William Wordsworth to commemorate the death of William Wordsworth. Question number 1. It praises his ability to sympathize with nature and evoke the feeling through his poetry, and it laments his death. Again, you have second question, right? Arnold compares Wordsworth to 2 great poets. Who are they? Apparently, these are Arnold's 3 favorite poets in order to accentuate Wordsworth's greatness and contribution through the contrasting comparison to Byron and Goethe. The answer is here in the 3rd line, right? Arnold devotes asymmetrical sections to Byron, Goethe, and Wordsworth, thus emphasizing their comparative value to the world. So in the 3 or 4 lines of any article on any website, you have the answer of the questions, which are generally 40% of the questions can be answered from the first 4 to 5 lines of online sources. You have the second question. Who, again it is from the same paper, who among the following English playwrights wrote screenplays on novels such as Marcel Proust's In Search of Lost Time, right, The French Lieutenant Woman, and Handmaid's Tale? answer we know. What is the answer? We can get it from the Wikipedia article, the first 4 to 5 lines, right? Harold Pinter, I read it out, was a British playwright, screenwriter, director and actor. A Nobel Prize winner, Pinter was one of the most influential modern British dramatists with a writing career that spanned more than 50 years. His best known plays include, these are his plays, The Birthday Party, The Homecoming and The Betrayal, right? Each of which he adapted for the screen. So these are the 3 plays. Again, you have one more question. Which of the following 3 plays or which of the following play is adapted into screenplay? So you have the 3, The Birthday Party, The Betrayal and The Homecoming, right? The next line, the screenplays adaptations of others' works, means he adapted several works, several plays of other authors into screenplays, which include, right, The Servant, The Go-Between, The French Lieutenant Woman, and The Trial and Sleuth, right? So there is, in the question, there is The French Lieutenant Woman. If you have read these first 4 lines of Wiki article, you can simply get. Vishal, V and Chetan, I used to read in this way. Okay. So I am taking this slides and all. One more question. Anthony Burgess' last novel, published in 1939, is called A Dead Man in Deptford. Who is the central character to whom the title refers? Now I have the only first line of the Wikipedia, right? A Dead Man in Deptford is a 1939 novel by Anthony Burgess, the last to be published during his lifetime. The second sentence, it depicts the life and character of Christopher Marlowe. Now here you have the answer. Okay, so who is the central character to whom the title refers? It is Christopher Marlowe, right? One more question. What does the phrase At Pictura Poesis from Horace's Art of Poetry mean? So there is a particular Latin phrase from the work of Horace, Ars Poetica, right? And the meaning of which is asked here. You have the 4 options. Now I have pasted here these 3 to 4 lines of Wikipedia. Look at the lines, right? At pictura poesis is the Latin phrase, literally meaning as is painting, so is poetry. So you have the answer in the first line, right? And if you read this entire 4 to 5 sentences, you can have 2 to 3 more questions from Horace and his work, right? So this type of superfluous questions are asked in NET, but they are very difficult to answer if we haven't consulted or referred to such type of websites. So as I said, we need to develop an eye, right? We should know what to look for. Okay. There is a question: in how many parts did Cervantes publish his novel Don Quixote, right? So let's check it on Wikipedia. Shall we? So that you can have, okay, you can see, can you see the Wikipedia page?
Yeah.
Okay, so look at this. The ingenious gentleman Don Quixote of La Mancha is a Spanish novel by D. Cervantes. It was published in 2 parts. Here you have answer. It was published in 2 parts. I am highlighting it, right? You have again the year as well. They can ask this type of question as well. The first part was published in 1605 and the second was published in 1615. So this is what you look for this is what you search for while you are preparing from the point of view of NEET, right? Now I open up the session for the questions. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Friends, the session is open for the question and you can ask your queries, doubts directly to Jignesh Panchal sir.
You can ask in chat box as well.
Yes.
Yogesh sir will read it out to me.
Sure, sir.
I'm good, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so any question, friends? Yes, sir. We have a question from Niran Makwana.
Yes.
Sir, which option? The question is that which option is better for UGC NET preparation? Whether we should read books or we should learn from videos.
I would strongly suggest that without reading basic books, if you go directly for online sources, that would help, but not much, right? You have the clear concepts regarding the history of English literature. As Vishal sir said, 60% of the questions are directly from history of or English literature. That is particularly British literature, right? There are many more: Australian, Canadian, American, Indian, right? Post-colonial. There are many, but there is German, right? But sometimes what happens is they ask simply 2 to 3 questions from all that I have mentioned, and sometimes they don't ask a single question, right? While we were preparing, I was very much interested in American literature. I read very good American literature. All the time I used to read American literature, but there was not a single question from American literature. So this can happen. So you should try to focus on British literature because it comprises the 60% of your questions. And coming back to your question is, you should read at least 2 to 3 basic books: An Outline of History of English Literature, right, by W.H. Hudson, and again English Literature by W.J. Long, and one more book. Then you can use the online sources. You can read from Wikipedia. You can listen to the lectures, right? There is one YouTube channel by MHRD, right? It is a very good initiative, Vidyamitra, in which you have the famous works discussed there, right? The people, the professors from IFLU and well-known university cities, they teach us several famous topics. If you are beginner, you can simply listen to Bhimsen Dahiya's lectures. He speaks at a very, very slow pace, right? Sometimes what happens is there are students who are preparing for NET, but when they listen to lectures on YouTube, the speakers speak so fast that they cannot comprehend. So if you need a speaker who speaks at slow pace, there is one who is Bhimsen Dahiya sir, right? And he covers the entire history of English literature. So there are more than 60 lectures of him on YouTube. There are Om Prakash Joshi, one more lecturer, one more professor, right? You can listen to him, and there are many more. You can consult online sources, but with the base with the base of reading by reading 2 to 3 basic books. That would help.
We have already provided 2 lectures of Bhimsen Daya in our WhatsApp group.
That's a wonderful
Yes, I have listened to the
work, Yogesh. I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, I have listened to the all videos of Bhimsen Dahiya. He is a professor. He is a former vice chancellor of Kurukshetra University, and he has done his PhD from America, and he is an expert on American literature. So we are providing the lectures of Bhimsen Dahiya in our WhatsApp
Yes,
group.
there are several lectures of him on American literature as well.
Okay, so okay, another question is from Suhu Rathod. She wanted to know the important writers of modern age and which are the main points related to UGC NET. So she wanted to know about the modern age important writers of particular modern age.
Okay, that can be done later. I would provide the list by writing it down on note or writing it in a Word file.
Yes.
The list of the writers and the terms associated with them, the concept that we should know, or you should know rather.
Yes,
regarding modernism and postmodernism.
Yes, Suhani, you should type on the Google that modern writers of English literature. Then you will find the list of the writers, and at a time you can check the works of particular writer when you are free.
Yes, when you are simply not doing anything, you should develop the habit of reading something related to literature on Wikipedia or on Google, whatever the site you explore. You should not simply kill the time. Whenever you are free, you should read, right? You have the mobile, so you have not limitations. Wherever you go with the mobile. So whenever you get time, you should read. That would help. Okay. Or you can revise, or what you read in books, you can read it on online, or you can listen to the videos. So it would be a kind of revision as well.
Okay, so we have another.
Somebody was asking about cultural studies to Chetan sir in the last lecture. Pramod K. Nair. There is a video lecture of Pramod K. Nair. And there is a book as well of Pramod K. Nair on literary and cultural studies, right? And Pramod K. Nair himself delivered the lecture on under this YouTube channel, Vidyamitra, or probably Vidyamitra.
EPG Pathshala. That is EPG Pathshala.
EPG Pathshala. EPG Pathshala.
Yes, we have another question from Bakul C. Yes, it is not a question that he wanted. That will you provide the PDFs of all the previous year papers? Of course, we will provide the papers in our WhatsApp group.
Yogesh will. Yogesh has this. And if he doesn't, I will send it to him.
No, we will provide all the papers, previous year's papers of GSET as well as NET in our WhatsApp group.
As well as other exams of other states.
Yes. Yeah, and when times come, I will provide. Any question?
No more questions?
Okay, thank you. Achha, okay. Friends, any question now? Okay, no more question. No? Yes, Naina, over to you.
The last sentence that I want to say to the students is, even after failing in 7th, even after dropping out of in SSC, if I can qualify UGC NET, GSAT and GPSC prelim, you too can qualify, right? Because I believe that you must not be as poor as I was.
Yes, it's an amazing journey you have carried out, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so any question now? Yes, Parth, you wanted to say something? Yes, we have question from the student of department, sir.
Yes.
Yes, Parth.
No, sir. No, sir.
You are not audible.
It is thankful to us. Hello.
I couldn't hear you properly, dear.
Parth, I request you to type your question in the comment box.
Sir, I haven't have any questions, sir.
Okay, so you wanted to say something. So you wanted to say something?
I think he says he do not have any question.
Okay, okay, no problem.
Uttam, thank you for being here for almost 1 hour and 15 minutes. I know
Yeah.
it is not related to your field and still you attended. That's worth appreciation.
Because I love to hear you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are going to.
He
wind
belongs
up
to
our
IT field.
Okay, so we are going to wind up our session. So Naina, over to you.
Hello, I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, Naina. Carry on.
Okay. So first of all, thank you all the participants for the participating in our session and making it successful. And in the future, if you will continue this kind of support, we will organize other session also for you. We are just here to help all the true participants who are really working to get through this NET and SET. So we will also organize other sessions to help you and also guidance you. And I would like to thank Jignesh sir for the wonderful and informative session. It will help a lot of students who are really working to get through it, NET and SLATE. So thank you so much, everyone.
Yes, sir. We have a question from Karabi Baruch. This man is. I wanted to know that what is the difference between the previous and the present syllabus. So he wanted to know about the new syllabus.
I don't see probably any difference between the previous and the present syllabus, because in previous syllabus they have divided the literature, right? They have the different names like British literature, then you have American, then you have Indian, then you have Canadian, then you have Afro-American, then you have African, then you have German, then you have Australian. And the last point was non-British literature, which includes everything. Non-British means something that does not belong to British literature. So it includes everything, right? And the first point was British literature. So the world literature was the syllabus of the previous NETs. Now we have the change in syllabus, but there is no change. There are only different titles, right? In the first 4 units, you have poetry, drama, fiction, and prose, right? But the questions can be asked from any literature, right? A poem, an Indian poem, an Australian poem, a Canadian poem, right? An American drama, a British drama, Indian drama. Questions can be asked from anything. So there is no change. This cultural study might be new. for the new syllabus. I'm not sure, but it could be.
The main difference is that they are from the 3 years paper. We can see that they are ignoring the world literature. They are, in the last year they have only asked one question from Oedipus Rex, and in the earlier December's paper, we have only 1 or 2 questions from the world literature. So they are ignoring the world literature, and they have completed ignored German literature as well as French literature. They have asked some questions from Greek literature. That is my observation.
We cannot say certain things
Yes, but
that are fixed, right?
Yes.
Because look what happens. In NET exams is we have the syllabus, but actually there is no syllabus, right? Why? Because when the papers of NET are set, what happens is one of the senior teachers of mine, who was one of the paper setter, who used to go to Delhi and set the papers, he shared his experience with me. He said that there is no syllabus, right? Why? Because some of the professors, 7 to 8, who are retired and who are very reliable, right? The ones who would not share the details with others are invited there for setting the question paper, and they would simply frame 10 to 15 questions according to their area of interest. So 7 to 10 professors, they all are forming 7 to 10 or 10 to 15 questions of the area of their interest, and then the questions are compiled. That's it. If you observe the last paper, there are more than probably about 10 questions on cultural studies, while earlier we didn't have question on cultural studies. Not many. There could be 1 or 2. Whatever. But if we assume that in the next or in the upcoming exam, there would be again 10 questions of cultural study, that would not be wise, right?
Yes, that is my observation from the previous 3-year papers. Okay, so you cannot ignore the world literature, and you cannot depend that cultural theory is very important. But now the focus is more on cultural theories as well as Indian literature, and particularly the evolution of Indian English literature. This is my observation.
You have in syllabus, you have one more point, right? English in India. So there is focus on language as well.
Yes.
So there could be questions from ELT, right? If there is any teacher who is setting the paper who belongs to ELT field, he would definitely form several questions on ELT, right?
Yes, and we have questions from short stories, prose also nowadays.
Yes. And even only the major writers are not only important. We should also look at the minor writers as well, because sometimes the questions are asked from minor writers whom we never faced, right? Whom we never read, about whom we never read anything. Okay. So minor writers are important as well.
Okay, so we are very thankful to you, sir, and thank you for a wonderful and fruitful session. Okay, so we are...
Any more questions?
Yes, any question now?
Thank you, dear Vishal. You said you were very clear about everything you said. Thank you.
Yes, I request you to share your PPT, because some students were asking that please provide this PPT.
Okay, I will. I have probably provided. Did you receive it on WhatsApp?
No, sir, I haven't.
Then you will shortly receive.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, thank you, Chetan, as well, for motivating and for making this session happen.
Okay, so we are going to wind up the session, and participant can left the session now. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Thank you all.